Hi guys, Amber in the kitchen here. I'm going to make bread for my family. This is one of my go-to recipes again. I will link it below in the description. And I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit about the process. Okay, so you can see my ingredients are already pre-measured, except for the flour. Okay, so this recipe calls for 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. I use instant yeast, so I don't have to worry about proofing it first with the warm water. I can just dump everything in and get going. But if you have active dry yeast, you're gonna wanna pour this in to your mixing bowl and then add your warm water. Now, the key to working with yeast is using warm water, not hot water and not cold water. So you should be able to stick your finger in this water and be comfortable. How I do that is I take 1 cup, microwave it for a minute, and then I add another cup of regular temperature from the tap, kind of a thing. This is 2 cups of water, 1.5 tablespoons. So that's 1 tablespoon, 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. And then this is 1/4 cup of sugar, I believe, or 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of sugar. And 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Just dump it all right in there. And this is 1/4 cup of olive oil. It calls for vegetable oil. You can use whatever veggie oil you like. I've never done this with coconut oil. So if you try that, let me know how it turns out. But vegetable oil, there you go. And then, where's my dough hook? Here we go. Actually, let me stir this real quick with my dough hook. And this is gonna be another multi-part video, guys. So this is us putting our ingredients together. Just gonna get that sugar off the bottom of the bowl. And then we're gonna add 5 to 6 cups of regular all-purpose flour. You don't need bread flour to make bread, but if you have bread flour, feel free to use that. And I'm not going to bother measuring this very precisely because there's no need. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Now we're going to mix this, stir it, and wait for it to kind of form a ball. You guys can watch that while I talk, I guess. But watch it as it continues on, and you'll see what I mean by form a ball. If you want, you can start this with your paddle attachment, and it'll kind of incorporate faster. But to me, that's just one more dirty dish to wash, and this is just fine. You just go the whole thing with your dough hook. Now, you notice I said we were gonna do 5 to 6 cups, and I only put 5 cups in here. And that's because your bread making process is a little bit of a touchy kind of a process. It depends on how much humidity is in your air the day that you're making bread. So, see, now we're getting more of a doughy ball. I can increase the speed here. Just get everything off the edges. You don't want to beat your bread dough at this speed for very long. And if you reach in here and touch it, this is still relatively sticky feeling, and it's gonna start sticking to the edges of the bowl again. So this is when you add your cup number 6, after you've incorporated those first 5 cups. And as you can see, this is not a full cup of flour that I'm adding. That's okay, because we're going to see how this dough is reacting to this flour to see if we need to add more. Sorry. My KitchenAid has seen better days, guys. But watch as it incorporates that flour. not stick to the sides at all. And it's just going to finish getting the kneading process together. So I love making bread in my KitchenAid. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. But if you don't have a KitchenAid, you can always make bread by hand. And that just requires a clean work surface. So if I was not having the KitchenAid, I would make sure this entire countertop was super clean, no debris of any kind, because the dough will take that up. It will find it on your work surface and it will consume it. So be really clean and tidy when you make your dough. And I'm going to turn this up a little bit. You can see it's kind of shaggy right now. So we might have more than enough flour. I think we have more than enough. It's not too humid here today. So I'm going to stop that and I'm going to show you guys. Whoops, we just got dough in our measuring cup. Thankfully, measuring cup. Okay, so this is really squishy. It's not sticky anymore, but it's stretchy. Okay, and you can handle it without having flour on your hands and it's not going to stick. That's what you want. If this is pulling your hand, that means you need to add more flour for this recipe anyways. There are bread doughs that are more loose, like a ciabatta bread, for example, is very sticky and you would not want it to be at this stage. All right, so I'm just gonna finish. I'm not adding any more flour to this. I'm gonna go ahead and put a lid on my flour so it stays nice and clean and finish doing this. I wanna show you guys what it looks like when it's done kneading. And I mean, if you add a little too much flour, it's not going to ruin this bread recipe. And if you don't add enough, it won't ruin it either. So this is a pretty good starter if you're getting into bread. This is a good recipe to start with. All right, I'm going to call that done. And I'm going to do a little bit of hand kneading here. All right, see how easily my hook came out and there's hardly anything stuck onto it. That's great. It's another good thing about this recipe. It's easy cleanup. Let me get these dishes over here out of the way. So with yeast doughs, there is rise time, and I'm not gonna make you guys watch that, but you hand knead, and that's just folding the dough over and pushing the heel of your hand into the dough. And you want to have a smooth ball by the time you're done. It should be stretchy and smooth. So when you are kneading for this initial rise, you want your dough to kind of have a smooth look to it. So you can see how this is broken here. I don't want that. I want this to be smooth. And you guys are getting to see this is a little bit of a time-consuming process. Even more so if you don't have the mixer. But here, okay. So this is what you want right here, okay? It's a little bit hard, or there's a little bit of resistance to your finger pushing it down, but it's smooth and you can kind of see the strands here. As I pull this, you can see the strands stretch and break. That is good. We want that. But we don't want to break those strands. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this back in my bowl now. And you just kind of tuck the sides down underneath. So I'm just kind of pulling it gently underneath to get that top surface to be taut. Okay, so when we push our finger in here, it's a lot of resistance. It shouldn't let my finger just push it down easily. Okay, and then we're going to cover this with a towel. If it's a moist day, humid day where you're at, you don't have to worry about getting your towel wet. But if it's a drier day, like today's a little bit on the drier side, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and moisten my towel before I cover this. And you let this double in size, which is about an hour in a warm area. If you're making bread in the winter, it can take a lot longer because the temperature, ambient temperature is cooler. But this is summertime. It is plenty hot in my house. This is going to double easily within an hour. All right. Check out part 2 for the to see the results of the proofing, the rising, and I will teach you how to do the hand. Oh my goodness, what is it called? The hand kneading. So we're going to punch it down and knead it and shape it, and then you wait another small amount of time to proof, do a second proof, and so I'll probably do a part 3 so you guys can see what it looks like when it comes out of the oven and how to score it and all that stuff. All right, hang in there. Part 2 is right behind you.